Welcome back. Today I'm going to be going over this angle question that usually shows up on the second module of the SAT, but first give this problem a try yourself before I dive into the explanation. Okay, so we have two lines here that intersect exactly at one point. They form two acute angles and two obtuse angles. So with these questions, your main priority, first, like right away, you should just draw a diagram, right? As you read the question. So once again, right? We have these two lines that they intersect at one point. The acute angle here, right, is given as that 5/3 x minus 40. So let's write that down, right? So once again, the acute angle, that's the given amount. We have a third line that passes to the intersection point and bisects each of the obtuse angles. So what that means is that third line, right, goes through this point in the middle and it bisects this obtuse angle here, right? So that means that these angles here are congruent to each other. Likewise, same. Okay, so now finally we have a fourth line that passes through the same intersection point and it bisects each of the acute angles. So that fourth line, right, once again passes through the intersection, but this time it bisects the acute angles, right? That's the acute angle. Okay, and of course that means that these angles are congruent. So which of these choices here, right, are not equivalent to the sum of the measures of any three of the eight angles? So yeah, there's the eight angles formed in this figure, and essentially when you add three of them, right, um, you get a specific value, right? One of these, it could be any value with x in there, right, in the expression, and we're supposed to find out which of them don't show up, right, because it says not equivalent. So let's start. So here, right, let's rewrite everything in terms of x, right? Because you only see x in the answer choice. So if the entire acute angle here is 5/3 x minus 40, that means if you divide, right? Because again, this acute angle here is bisected, right? It would be that divided by 2, right? So this here is 5/6 x minus 20, right? What about the purple angles? Well, notice that the acute angle, right, and the obtuse angle are supplementary, right? They add up to 180 degrees because of that logic, right? Or due to that, um, the measure of this obtuse angle here is going to be 180 minus the measure of the acute angle, right? And the measure of the acute angle, well, we already know, right? They gave us that value. So you do 180 minus 5/3 x minus 40, and when you solve that, you get 220 minus 5/3 x. So that's the measure of the obtuse angle, right? The entire purple angle here. How do you find the individual angles here? Well, they're bisected, right? So you just take this number divided by 2. So therefore you get 110 minus 5/6x, right? So now we have the values of each of the smaller angles, right? So again, we know that uh, the measure of these purple angles, we found out earlier, right? 110 minus 5/6x. We know the blue ones, right, are each that specific number. So now that we kind of have figured those angles out in terms of values of x, right? What's our next step? Well, we have to find the sum of any three of the eight angles, right? And then we have to match which one of these are don't match that value, right? So in this case, think about the different ways you can add three angles here, right? You only have two different types of angles. You have the blue and uh, the 5, 6x minus 20, right? So that means if you want to add three angles together, you can have three blue ones, right? We can have two blue and then one of these ones, right? I'm just gonna call that LB for light blue. You can have one blue, two LBs, or you can have all of them being three light blues, right? So this chart here gives us a total number of ways, or the total possibilities where we can add three angles together, right? So let's add them, right? So what do three blues give you? Well, you do 3 times 110 minus 5 over 6x, right? Which gives us 330 minus 5 half x. We can have two blues and one light blue, so that's 2 times 110 minus 5 6x plus 5 6x minus 20, right? If you solve that, you get 220 minus 5 third x plus 5 6x minus 20, which simplifies to 200 minus 5 6x, right? So that's one possibility. This is another possibility. We can have one blue, two light blues. So 110 minus 5 6x plus two light blues. If you solve that, that simplifies to 5 third x minus 40, right? That becomes 70 plus 5 6x, right? That's another possibility. And finally, we can have three light blues, right? So that's 3 5 6x minus 20, right? Which simplifies to 5 over 2x minus 60. So those are our four possibilities. Which one of those do we see in the answer choices here? Well, I see 5 half x minus 60 here, right? I see 70 plus 5 sixth x here, right? I see 200 minus 5 6 x here, right? And our last one is 330 minus 5 half x. But this answer choice here has a plus 5xx. So you know this one is not possible to attain, right? Through adding three angles. So in our case, D is our answer choice because it's the only expression that does not sum up. Like if you have three angles, you add those together, it does not sum up to the values that we found here. Right? So once again, for these problems, make sure you first write everything in terms of x, right? And then realize that, well, you only have really two different types of angles here, right? You have that light blue, which is a 5 6 x minus 20, and then that blue, which is 110 minus 5 6 x, right? So if you're trying to add three angles, well, the only way to get a distinct value, right, when you add the sum up to get a distinct sum, is if you have three blues, 0 LB, right, and so on and so forth, right? So once again, that's how you approach this question. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comments, right? Um, make sure you like and subscribe, right? But we also do post these videos daily to help you with your SAT and ACT prep. So make sure you hit that notification bell just so you're notified when we do post those videos, right? And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.